All right, everyone, it's time for 2018 midterm pregame. That is, you can't make any predictions about how the midterms will come out until at least next year. When the races sort of begin festering a little bit, people start tentatively campaigning a little bit more. We get to know who the actual nominees will be for certain open positions. Then we can start tentatively predicting the trajectory of the midterm races. We can't do that now. We're still a good 7 months out from being able to make even the most tentative, temporary predictions, which, of course, are subject to change. Even then, it will be a number of months before things start to solidify and we get a better picture of how things are going to go. Right now, though, looking at the political landscape, the Democrats have gotten a big dick thinking that the Republicans are weak, while actually themselves being the inarguably weaker party. That is, the Democrats for months now, and I said this a couple months ago and I said this right after the election, they need a platform. They don't have one. They need leadership. They don't have leadership. They need a few central figures to sort of guide their party, and they don't have that. The Republicans do. Trump is the central figure of the party, for better or for worse, depending on your opinion of him. That's the case. He's the president of the United States. He's the de facto leader of the Republican Party. They've also got a bunch of secondary individuals who have different ideas, but have emerged largely as voices within the party who are capable of campaigning, who are capable of shaping the way in which things go. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, despite my general dislike for them, are two of those figures. The Bushes have been shoved aside, along with the Romneys, McCains, and Grahams, that nonetheless stay visible. Rand Paul would be one of the more visible figures. Certainly Amash would be on that list as well. And then you have various people within the alt-media community who have begun rising up in popularity to a drastic degree. This even includes Alex Jones. Again, whether you like him or not, he is there. What comparable power does the Democratic apparatus have other than maybe the Young Turks? Something like that. Even a lot of the liberals no longer really support the Democratic Party. They went off and supported the Greens. They voted for Gary Johnson. Some of them buckled down, voted for Trump out of sheer malice at what the DNC had done to Bernie Sanders. And that's one of the fatal flaws the Democrats have right now. They ignored the left the same way in which the Republicans ignored the uprising of the Ron Paul revolution so many years ago, is eerily resembling right now the way in which Bernie Sanders was shafted by the DNC. Only perhaps worse, because Bernie Sanders was a technically viable candidate. Ron Paul, for all of his strengths, never really was. His appeal came from the youth. In both cases, you have an outside maverick who is kind of an independent, running within a party, grassroots support, enormous youth fan base, significant proportion of the final tally of support, Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders, getting ignored and deliberately shafted by an establishment apparatus. Sometime then down the road, a new uprising begins that actually takes over. The next uprising within the Democratic Party will be successful, I predict. That will probably be several cycles in coming. It won't affect the midterms. It probably won't affect 2020. What'll happen in 2020, I expect, and this is even further out than the midterms, is that you'll have a similar far-left movement within the Democratic Party to Sanders. It may involve Elizabeth Warren. It may involve a steroid-injected Mark Cuban. It may involve, anybody under the sun who's an actual leftist. They will get shafted like Bernie Sanders was. When this happens, social alienation among the younger Democrats will reach a fever pitch. They will again abandon the party. Some of them will lend their support to the Greens, the same way the Libertarians grew after the Republicans made it clear we're not dealing with Ron Paul, will be about the way the Green Party absorbs support as well. We could see in the future, this isn't a prediction yet, because we have to see whether my prediction on what the DNC will do the next time around pans out. If that happens, we could see a 3 or even 4-party solution within U.S. politics, where you've got a corporate democratic movement, which is big money, pro-corporate, pro-war, a populist uprising within the GOP, which would be the main party of the country, which is actual conservatism of a brand, more paleocon than actually libertarian, which is more anti-war than in the past, which is more inclusive, oddly enough, than the Democrats would end up being at that point, with a Green Party representing the actual left within the country and a Libertarian Party representing the right, as well as certain disgruntled leftists who care more about moral issues, getting rid of moral laws, than they do anything fiscal under the sun. We could see that happen. It's not without the realm of possibility. It's still unlikely at this juncture. We have to wait. It all falls on what the Democrats do. If they cling to the big money, you see in the last campaign, and here's the paradigm shift in full effect. For a long time, the Republicans were the big money party. They were the ones gobbling up corporate cash and banker cash and cash from, self-made billionaires. Now it's the Democrats that are doing that. It used to be the Republican Party that seemed out of touch with the middle class. Now it's the Democratic Party that's out of touch with the middle class. The two parties, in a way, have begun to shift towards one another's prior platforms. We have a globalist, pro-war, pro-interventionist, anti-labor, anti-middle class, pandering Democratic Party that doesn't have any real solid leadership and won't do anything, that just simply is campaigning in these special elections on we're the anti-Trump party, as though that's an actual platform, versus a GOP that has reformed. It wasn't like under McCain or Romney, where the idea was basically, we're not the Democrats, please vote for us. It didn't work. Trump gave the party a platform. You may disagree with the platform, you may think it's racist or evil, but it's there, and that matters. It simply matters that a party that is viable and large already simply needs to formulate a platform. It doesn't need a great platform if its opponents don't have one. It will win every single time. It doesn't matter what. They could run as the shit party, and their platform could be, we're going to give a bucket of shit to every American. They'd probably still win. People would just assume it was a joke. They'd say, oh, well, at least they've got ideas, even if the ideas are totally satirical. So that's, it's time to give advice, I think, to the parties. And I say this as somebody who's not a member of any of these parties. People think, he voted for Trump and he supported Trump. Now, therefore, he must be a Republican or he must be a conservative. I'm not. I'm really more in line with the libertarian movement. But the libertarians chose a shitty candidate who wasn't even himself really a libertarian. He was more of a liberal at that point and more like an old-style Democrat than anything else. And I thought, if Hillary Clinton wins, she might start World War III. I'd better vote for her opponent. It was sort of a lesser of two evils thing once Gary Johnson showed he was incapable of actually campaigning. My advice for the Republicans is you need to switch to a job and tax-based platform. Leave all this foreign pandering aside. Trump understands, for instance, now I disagree with this for moral reasons, but for fiscal reasons, the Saudi arms deal was a good move. Arms deals are very lucrative for the United States. It does prop up the economy here. It's a huge proportion of our economy, selling weapons to people. I understand that from a fiscal perspective. From a moral perspective, it looks bad, though. And I disagree with it because I see Saudi Arabia as largely an agent of negativity in the world. For fiscal purposes, though, the things Trump is doing, not sign TPP, renegotiate NAFTA, Saudi arms deal, they're all part of that big money presidential thing. But people don't perceive it that way. People perceive it as part of his populist and a potentially proxy war friendly platform. He has to avoid that. What Trump and the Republicans need to do is they need to put a patch on our tax system. If this takes the form of giving a few breadcrumbs to the left to get some Democrats on board, so be it. It'll be helpful long term. You need to focus on stabilizing the middle and working class in this country to try to grow them. If you can get a Morning in America again sort of thing going in the Rust Belt, you're guaranteed a win in 2020. It won't matter what the Democrats throw at you. Trump being crazy in the eyes of his opponents or saying mean or strange things didn't stop him from winning the election. But he has to fulfill his more jobs, better wealth promise or he falls flat. The Democrats probably win 2020 at that point. As far as the midterms are concerned, I don't see any manner in which the Democrats retake the House. The Republicans need to focus on protecting their power mostly in the Senate as well as in governor's seats and state legislatures. That means there's going to be a lot of down-ballot campaigning going on by major Republican figures. They need to conduct research to the best of their ability to find out where each individual higher echelon Republican figure, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, trot Jeb Bush out if you have to, or in Trump himself, of course, Mike Pence, all of these other figures, even Trump staffers. They need to determine what regions or states these people are specifically most popular in and send them to those states to campaign and to fundraise. More campaign than fundraise. It's obvious. The Republicans can win an election while being outraised and outspent several times over by the Democratic candidate. They don't have to worry about the money question. They've got the internet. They are now the tech-literate party as well. Under Obama's first term, the Democrats were the tech-literate party. They had embraced the internet, although social media was still in its infancy at the time, and the Democrats became the internet party. Now the Republicans have taken social media, largely. There are holdouts, of course. You go on Reddit or something, it's mostly leftists. You go on Facebook, and Facebook actively suppresses the right. But the Republicans still have a major presence on YouTube. I would say increasingly on Twitter, certainly 4chan and some of these places, where things tend to lean more to the right. The Republicans are better received, not necessarily well received, but better than the Democratic Party is. They need to capitalize upon this. They need to focus solely on social media. Forsake radio, forsake TV, ignore the corporate media, side with the internet, and your future is much brighter, especially long term. For the next 4 or 5 cycles in a row, you'll probably do better than you would otherwise do. They have to focus on the Senate, and they have to focus on the down-ballot races, because, here's the thing, if people feel positively towards whoever's running for governor, or whoever's running for anything else, they might just decide to vote straight Republican. That is, they will fall into, I don't support this for moral reasons, but as far as people tend to go, many of them will simply fall along party lines. That's the way that they hold the Senate, that's the way they keep their control in these states, and that translates into probably doing better in the House, setting the groundwork for probably doing better in 2020. They've got to think big picture, and they've got to think long term, but they must focus on tax relief for the middle class. I know this is something typically you associate it with the Democratic Party. Oh, we need to slash taxes for the poor and the middle class, tax the businesses more. If Trump goes after the multinationals and successfully gets them to pay their fair share and alleviates the burden on small businesses, entrepreneurs, and the middle and upper middle class, then he wins re-election. Right there. People will think with their wallets he'll win. It'll be morning in America all over again, whether deservedly or undeservedly. So there's my advice to the Republicans, at least for right now, unless there's a major change in the world situation at large. My advice to the Democrats is to abandon the House of Representatives. You're not going to retake it. At this point, you've waited, I think, already too long to form a platform to be able to successfully target it. Relying on, Trump will be not well liked and therefore somehow magically we gain all these House seats. I don't think it's going to work. Some of them will be in safe red areas anyway. You won't be able to compete for them reliably. You can say, Trump won Montana by 12 points, but Jean Ford only won by 6. So this gives us hope to take some of these contested seats. Yeah, but how many contested seats do you think you're going to be able to take? You're not talking about, we take 2 seats in the House and we win the House of Representatives. No, you're talking about dozens of seats. Do you really think that you have... obviously, throwing money at the situation doesn't help, so you need to abandon the House of Representatives. It's going to remain in the hands of Republicans. You may be able to gain a few seats there. That's about the best you can hope for. You should be very happy if you gain 2 or 3 seats in the House of Representatives. I'd be surprised if you, at this point, if you gained more than that. And that's assuming that in the next few months you form a solid platform and have people that can actually campaign down ballot for you. Focus on the Senate would be number 2. You have a chance to take back the U.S. Senate. It's still not clear you're going to be able to do that because some of the seats that are going to be up are Democratic seats, which you can merely retain at best, and may lose to Republicans if they're vulnerable. And there's reason to believe that will happen, honestly. The Republicans could gain a couple Senate seats they don't currently have, and if they do that, it makes your job a lot harder. If you fail, by the way, to retake the Senate, the Democratic Party, you're screwed. You're going to look so absolutely fantastically weak. After 2 years of constantly saying how evil the Republicans are, how outraged you are, how much you wish the situation was different, if you look ineffective and weak by not forming a platform and competing for the Senate, then you're probably screwed as a major party. Your fundraising will begin to dry up. People will perceive you as just perpetual whiners. They'll start to flee to third-party groups that they will then see as viable in comparison with the DNC's poor leadership. And that's really the central point. The central bit of advice to the Democrats is get somebody who can lead your party, or a group of people who can lead your party, who can go campaign, and again, perform that same research. To the Libertarians, who are now technically a viable party based on voting results in the last election, many states they hit double digits in. Some states they were approaching 15%. That's a major party. It's not a one-off movement. It's been growing for some time. The Greens didn't get there, although they might in the future. But the Libertarian Party is now absorbing parts of the left that can't vote for the Democrats because the Democrats hate the left on moral issues, and Republicans who have abandoned the Republican Party because the Republican Party has abandoned hardline fiscal conservatism, and because libertarianism now can capitalize on the internet to say, hey, slashing taxes by 2 points isn't the answer. That's not conservatism. We want to slash it by 50%. Saying, oh, legalize marijuana is not a leftist position. Saying decriminalize all drugs is a leftist position. That's what the Libertarian Party should and can do successfully. But it needs massive outreach. It needs to capitalize upon some of the soft libertarian support it already generated last time around. Roll it over into an internet party, essentially. They need to focus on, we want a free and open internet, one that is not censored. We oppose all surveillance. We oppose proxy wars. We have no problem with, and this is the case with most libertarians, we have no problem with certain social programs, but we do need to massively reduce the budget. We need to tackle the deficit. We need to get our economic engine working. It's all about the money. The Libertarian Party needs to make its case to people that it's capable of governing in a reasonable, sane manner. And it doesn't help when your presidential candidate breaks down into baby talk and lashes out at reporters and basically acts a little bit like Trump. He even says, oh, I could take Trump in a fight, stuff like that, while at the same time not being able to do it in a manner that it's believable. It doesn't seem meme-worthy, it seems cringe-worthy. You need a better candidate next time around. Gary Johnson is very good on the drug war issue, but that's about all he's good on. The same would be true of other figures. You can get some left libertarians in there. They would serve the same function. The right libertarians should focus on taxes and some of these other issues. If you can successfully make that case, you at least retain the amount of support you had before. And I would also tell them, focus on very competitive states, swing states. Don't waste your time in some state that's comprised of 70-75% Democratic or Republican partisans. That's not where you can make your case. You need to, hollow out the soft support of both sides using both left and right libertarianism in competitive states in hopes of grabbing up possibly a few seats in the House and possibly Senate. Your best odds are in the House, honestly. It would also be funny. It would at least be newsworthy if the Libertarian Party ran interference for the right. I mean, for the Trump populists. If you focused on if you focused on leftist platforms in states with current battles in the Senate involving Democrats that are vulnerable and denied them those seats, you would be legendary. It would be very, very funny. People would meme it into oblivion. Again, it rolls over into the internet-worthy campaign style of the social media era. So that's a little bit of my advice. My advice to the Green Party is you're going to have to wait at least a couple more cycles to do anything. Having hippie grandma as your standard bearer worked for some of the Bernie bro fans. That was okay. Cracking 2 or 3% in most states. Yeah, it's certainly better than you did in the past. It basically puts you where the libertarians were, in 2012 or 2008 or something like that. And it's not bad, but it certainly doesn't get you to major party status. Right now, it's the libertarians are the only main minor party that's got technical viability, and they could lose it. That would be my other piece of warning for them. You could easily lose the gains that you've made, and if Trump does very well, you probably will. irrespective of honestly what platform you use. But if you cast yourself as a youth-friendly, internet, anti-surveillance, anti-proxy war party, and put somebody up there on the national stage as your standard bearer, who you then run in 2020 potentially, somebody who is sane, calm, collected, able to talk to the corporate media, which will rake them over the coals, but capable of doing so in a very good manner and deflecting the attacks of the corporate media and taking their issues to the youth online, you'll maintain the support that you've already got. In 2020, the future looks bright again for you. You may even win a few states. It is possible for a minor party to do that. It's happened before. It's not impossible. So there you have it, a little bit of a pregame on the 2018 midterms. Trust me, I look forward to it. But as of right now, the most tentative prediction I would give, if everything continued to remain equal, is that the Democrats fall far short in the House. They gain maybe 2 or 3 seats at most. They basically flop there. They don't really gain anything in governor's seats or in state legislatures, which means that technically they lose the midterms. They may regain the Senate. It's 50-50 at best for them right now. They still need, though, in order to compete there, even in the Senate where they only need 2 seats, they still need a platform. They don't have one. Their platform right now is, we oppose the AHCA, we oppose Donald Trump, and we think he's a bigot. Or Donald Trump is an embarrassment. You're running against one person. You're not even running against the Republican Party. You're running against Donald Trump. That didn't work out for you in the last election. And if they continue, and they seem to be, and they don't seem either willing or capable of giving up this dying strategy, they're going to lose the midterms. They're not even going to retake the Senate. That would be my bit of spiel to them. Yeah, you won't even retake the Senate. You might lose a Senate seat or 2. Can you imagine what would happen then? You get compared to somebody who the corporate media has cast off as the next Adolf Hitler, who is unpopular, who is ineffective, and your party still manages to actually lose more support. And keep in mind, in the midterm elections, a lot of those Democratic voters stay home in many districts. That would be a severe hindrance to you. And right now, there's still no excitement within the Democratic Party. The left is energized. We're going to fight Donald Trump, but they're also energized against the DNC, and you keep ignoring them. You're not doing good things for yourself by using this strategy. The Democrats right now are definitely at a severe disadvantage over the Republicans. Definitely, it's the Democrats right now that maintain their weakness. That's about all. Peace out.